Capital and revenue expenditures and receipts. First, let's understand what is capital, revenue, all that and how accounting depends on it. And why are we learning? That's most important. Why are we learning all this? So all of you know about balance sheet and profit and loss account, right? About balance sheet and profit and loss account, what we call it as income statement. Now remember, any item which is recorded in the balance sheet, any item which is recorded in the balance sheet, we call it capital items. All right, we call it capital items. All right. If it is a revenue, we call it capital items, can be divided into capital receipts and capital payments or expenditure. Capital payments or capital expenditure, we generally call it capital expenditure. In more fancier terms, all these capital expenditure, in fancier term, we call it CapEx. All right, CapEx, capital expenditure. All right, it is called CapEx. Means all those items which are of capital nature finds place only and only in the balance sheet. Any item which belongs to the P&L account or which belongs to the income statement, all right, it will be either on the debit side or it will be on the credit side. If it is on the debit side, this is an expenditure side and this is a revenue side. This is the revenue side. All those expenditures or debit items which are of revenue nature finds place inside the P&L account. What is revenue? What is capital nature? I will talk about it. So these are called revenue expenditure, or in more fancier term, we call it operating expenses. You want it to make it more fancier? Let's make it more fancier. It is called OpEx. All right, it is called OpEx, operating expenditure. All right, it is called OpEx. This X has nothing to do with your X. All right, here also this X also has nothing to do with your X. Fine, whatever you have spent on your X, whatever you have spent on your X can be classified as CapEx or OpEx. Answer my question. If you finally got married and she never became your X, all right, you finally got married and it never became your X, then what will you call those expenditures as? Was it capital expenditure or was it operating expenditure? What do you think? It is CapEx or OpEx? So it is basically a CapEx. But before you got married or before you got a girlfriend, you remember, before you get a girlfriend, you also spend some money. Yeah, you go to a cafe thinking that a relationship, you will get into a relationship. All right. And whatever expenditure you are doing, what is that expenditure called? What is that expenditure called? So those expenditures are called OpEx if you finally get into a relationship. But in case relationship never happens, then what are those expenditures called? Relationship never happens. What are those expenditures called? Those expenditures are called sunk cost. All right, those expenditures are called sunk cost, or in other words, you can say bad debts. It has become bad debts. Bad debts will be a not so nicer word, but sunk cost will be a good example. You have spent money, but it never clicked. You know, it was a match, but finally it never became a match, right? After 1, 2, 3 dates, you realize it's not a match. So finally it has become a sunk cost. All right. So CapEx, yes, longer term. Exactly. So all of you have agreed. CapEx means long term, and OpEx means short term. Answer is yes. It is short term and or whatever you want to call it. It is recurring in nature, because one time you have gone to CCD, it will not stop. It will not stop. You are going to go to CCD quite often. All right. And if you can afford, you have passed your CMA, you have passed your CPA exam, then CCD will be like, oh, it's not my standard, it's not my class. So maybe you would want to go where? You would want to go to some star. You want to go, not NorthStar. You have come to NorthStar, you have passed your CMA exam, you have to go to another star because you have a lot of bucks. Exactly. So you will go to another star because you have got a lot of bucks in your pocket, right? This, yeah. So you reach in Starbucks. Whatever money you are spending, again, it is operating expenditure. It is not a capital expenditure till she says yes. Yes. You bend down in your knees and you put her a ring and she says yes. Alright. Till that time, it is an operating expenditure. I hope all of you have understood what is an OpEx and what is a CapEx.